The fairy tale that once captured the imagination of millions now teeters on the edge of collapse. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who vow to break free from royal chains and build a new life of independence and authenticity, now find themselves at the center of a storm so violent it threatens to end not only their marriage but their what began as whispers in the corridors of power and murmurs on social media has now erupted into a full-scale scandal, the Royal Divorce Bombshell. And if reports are to be believed, the Sussexes are closer than ever to the brink of total collapse. When Harry and Meghan walked hand in hand down the aisle at St. George's Chapel in 2018, the world saw them as the embodiment of modern love. He, the prince who dared to defy convention, and she, the actress who seemed poised to inject new life into an ancient monarchy. Theirs was supposed to be the story that silenced the critics, that blended tradition with progress. But 5 years later, the picture is not one of unity. Instead, it is one of estrangement, disillusionment, and a growing chasm that no amount of public relations gloss can behind the glamorous interviews, the Netflix documentaries, and the high-profile speeches lies a marriage battered by relentless. Insiders whisper of fiery arguments, of Harry's increasing sense of isolation, and of Meghan's relentless ambition clashing with the reality of their situation. While their public image has always been tightly choreographed, hands clasped, eyes locked, smiles perfected, those closest to the couple describe a very different reality: slammed doors, cold silences, and two people drifting further apart with each passing day. The cracks first began to show after their dramatic exit from royal duties in 2012. Dubbed Megxit by the tabloids, their decision to step back was framed as a bold declaration of independence. But insiders now claim the move planted seeds of resentment. Harry, once surrounded by the structure and camaraderie of royal life, has reportedly struggled with the vacuum left behind. Cut off from his brother William, estranged from his father King Charles, and alienated from the only life he ever knew, Harry's exile has left him vulnerable. Meghan, on the other hand, threw herself into media projects, brand deals, and ambitious campaigns, determined to solidify their place as global icons. The imbalance between Harry's longing for belonging and Meghan's drive for expansion became, according to sources, a constant source of tension. The tipping point, many believe, came with the release of Harry's memoir Spare. While the book was marketed as his cathartic outpouring, those in their inner circle claim Meghan was privately unsettled by its. Critics accuse the Sussexes of hypocrisy, of cashing in on the very institution that. Friends describe Meghan as increasingly frustrated, feeling that Harry's obsession with his past, his grief, his feud with William, his resentment of the palace, was dragging them down instead of propelling them. She wanted to move on, to build, said one insider. But Harry was stuck reliving. Tensions reportedly escalated when business ventures failed to live up to expectations. Their Spotify deal collapsed in public humiliation, with executives branding them. Their Netflix projects, once heralded as groundbreaking, drew mixed reviews and went. For a couple whose identity hinged on control of their narrative, the failure struck like hammer. Meghan, always the strategist, is said to have become increasingly impatient, while Harry, described by one source as lost and adrift, struggled. The once united front began to fracture under the weight of disappointment. In private, their disagreements reportedly became. According to whispers leaking from Montecito, Harry resented what he saw as Meghan's relentless pursuit of fame and influence, while Meghan grew weary of what she perceived as Harry's emotional volatility and refusal to let go of the past. They're both fiery personalities, one source revealed. When they clash, it's. The rumors of a looming divorce gained traction when eagle-eyed followers noticed Meghan appearing at high-profile events without Harry by her side. Her solo ventures in Hollywood, coupled with Harry's subdued presence at royal commemorations in London, painted a picture of two lives increasingly lived. The symbolism was not lost on the media. The once inseparable duo were now, it seemed, charting divergent paths. Fueling the speculation are reports that Meghan has been quietly consulting with high-powered attorneys in California. While no official confirmation has emerged, the very suggestion of divorce negotiations has electrified the press. What assets would be at stake? How would custody of their children, Archie and Lilibet, be handled? And most importantly, what would a divorce mean for Harry, a prince who gave up everything, his title, his home, his family, for a woman who may now walk away? For Harry, the specter of divorce is more than personal heartbreak, it is existential. Without Meghan, what remains of his new identity? The palace has made no secret of its chilly stance toward the Duke of Sussex, and a return to royal life seems near. Yet without Meghan, his Hollywood relevance would evaporate. He burned his bridges for her, one commentator observed. If she leaves, he's stranded on an island with no way back. For Meghan, the calculation is equally complex. While a divorce could free her from a faltering partnership, it would also risk cementing her as the villain in the eye. Critics would call her opportunistic, accuse her of using Harry as a stepping stone, and paint her as the destroyer of a prince. And yet, some whisper that Meghan may be willing to take that risk, believing she can rebuild her image as a single mother, an empowered survivor who rose from royal ashes to forge her own name. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace watches in silence. Officially, the royals refuse to comment on private matters, but insiders revealed there is quiet satisfaction in certain quarters. For William and Charles, long portrayed as the antagonists in Harry and Meghan's narrative, the prospect of the Sussexes imploding from within is poetic. Just they didn't have to lift a finger, said one palace aide. Harry and Meghan are doing the damage themselves. The global fascination with this potential divorce lies not just in its drama but in it is the collapse of a dream, the unraveling of a modern fairy tale, and the stark reminder that even princes and duchesses cannot escape the brutal realities of love and ambition. If the reports are true, if Harry and Meghan truly stand on the edge of divorce, then the shockwaves will ripple far beyond. The financial implications alone are staggering. Joint ventures, brand deals, and contracts all hang in the balance. Custody battles over Archie and Lilibet would invite a media frenzy. And then there is the question of Harry's role. Would he remain in America, a single father exiled from his homeland, or would he attempt to reconcile with the royals who once turned their backs on? For now, the couple maintain public silence. They appear together occasionally, smiling for the cameras, insisting all is well. But the smiles no longer convince. The eyes tell a different story, one of weariness, of distance, of two people carrying the heavy weight of disappointment. As the rumors intensify, the world holds its breath. Will the fairy tale finally shatter? Will Harry and Meghan's story end not with a happy ever after but with legal documents and bitter recriminations? One thing is certain, the Royal Divorce Bombshell has already detonated in the court of whether or not the papers are signed, the damage to their image is profound. And so, the once dazzling Duke and Duchess of Sussex stand at the precipice, their love story collapsing under the weight of ambition, betrayal, and the palace walls may no longer confine them, but the walls of their own marriage are closing. The world watches, riveted, as the final chapter of Harry and Meghan's union is written, not as a fairy tale, but as a cautionary